Have you been feeling anxious lately? Do you find yourself feeling tense, on edge, maybe lightheaded? Sometimes even your breathing is fast, your muscles here are tense, you feel uneasy, hard to concentrate, and you worry about work, you worry about your family, you worry about school, you worry about many things. Well, there is hope. Hi, I'm Dr. Elias Moitinho for Motivation and Growth. In this channel, I give you tips and life skills for you to grow in your life. If you are new here, want more videos on anxiety, I invite you to click subscribe. In this video, I'm going to explain what anxiety is and focus more specifically on generalized anxiety disorder. Then there is that anxiety that you can't seem to shake it off, and it gets progressively worse, and you realize your thoughts are racing and you can't seem to stop them, and then you have those physical symptoms that I talked about in the beginning of the video, and sometimes because you can't stop your thoughts and you worry about your worry and you can't concentrate and you think you're going crazy. Well, let's calm down for a moment. I've got this video to help you. Keep watching. I have here the DSM-5, which is the book that counselors and psychiatrists use to make diagnosis of mental disorders. And generalized anxiety disorder is included here. And the criteria is that this is excessive anxiety and worry. And worry is defined as apprehensive expectation. And with generalized anxiety disorder, known as GAD, there is restlessness, a person is feeling on edge, sleep disturbance, the person feels then easily fatigued, there's muscle tension, difficult concentration, and this persistent and excessive worry that begins to create some impairment, interference with daily activities. And one of the main things with GAD is worry about everyday life, worry about work, family, health, children. And you know, when we worry, we think of the worst case scenario, bad outcomes. And then what happens is the body responds and your heart starts beating faster, you are breathing fast, and fear comes in. And what happens is this becomes ongoing with GAD, and it takes away joy, takes away peace, takes away sleep, and sometimes people even worry about worry. Let's understand what's going on. Stress is one of the main reasons for anxiety. We live in a very fast-paced society. People just say, rise and grind, go, go, go. Well, ongoing chronic stress is very detrimental to our mental, emotional health, and even relationships. Let me mention the biopsychosocial spiritual model. It refers to the different parts of who we are. Bio is the biological, physical part, our body, our brains. Psychological is our thinking and our feeling. Social, our relationships, and spiritual is our connection with God. And so all these areas are involved when we experience anxiety. Let me give you an example. Let's say we are going on a hike, we go hiking in the mountains, and one of our friends says, hey, look, a snake. How are we gonna react? Well, we're gonna get scared, we're gonna have our heartbeat going fast, our breathing will go fast, our pupils will dilate, and blood pressure will go up. Well, what's happening is because our brain detected potential danger, we then get ready to fight or flight because our adrenal glands release stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, to get our body ready to face the threat or to run away, escape from the danger. And there is a piece of the mind that is involved. It's called the cognitive appraisal, which is our perception of a situation, our evaluation of a situation. Because when we heard there is a snake, we thought danger. Our body responded, getting us ready to fight or flight. But imagine our friend says, "Oh, that's not a snake. It's only a piece of garden hose. Somebody dropped it here." Well, our brain, our mind says, "No more danger. It's not an emergency." Our bodies relax, go back to normal. Well, with anxiety, the threat, the danger is imagined, is perceived. It's not a real threat. And what happens, it activates the fight or flight system, and our bodies get full of adrenaline, cortisol, stress hormones. That's why we stay on edge, as if we're having to fight this danger. And when the danger is not real. As we continue to understand what's happening in the body, it's important to understand what's going on in the brain. And here I'm going to be very simplistic for the sake of this short video. There is a part in our brain that is called the limbic system. Some people call it the emotional brain. And in the limbic system, there is the amygdala. The amygdala sounds the alarm, detects fear, danger, threat. And when the amygdala activates the system because of a threat, then we have the activation of the adrenal glands to release, as I mentioned, adrenaline and cortisol, and you get in the fight or flight state. Well, we need to engage the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that is responsible for cognitive functioning, for reasoning, for thinking. And you need to tell yourself, this is not an emergency. Because when your brain perceives the threat as this is not a real threat, this is not an emergency, then the alarm will be turned off. And so your body can calm down, can relax again. Because living on edge, it becomes hard for you to sleep. And when you have high levels of cortisol, it affects your sleeping patterns. That's why when people are stressed out, they gain weight. They become hypervigilant because they are fearful of threats out there. So watch my video on self-care. I put several stress management strategies there that can be helpful to you. And I'm going to share with you what happens when you go to a counselor, because that's what I recommend. If you have high levels of anxiety, that you meet with a counselor. A counselor will sit down with you, will listen to your story, listen to your concerns, will hear what makes you anxious, how you feel, what you think when you're anxious. And more importantly, the counselor will assess your levels of anxiety. The counselor will assess the intensity, the frequency of your symptoms, and make a determination of any impairment, how much the anxiety is affecting, disrupting, interfering with your daily activities. The counselor will examine and talk to you about your thinking process. Remember, we talked about perception. When we perceive something as a threat or danger, we activate the fight or flight system. And when people are anxious, they have a lot of catastrophizing. What we call catastrophizing is catastrophic thinking, thinking of the worst case scenario. And when you think about the worst case scenario, that you're losing your job, that you're gonna lose your house, that creates fear and anxiety. And when people are anxious, they have a lot of distorted, unrealistic, irrational thinking. So a counselor will help you identify those thoughts and even change them, okay? I have a video on tips to control anxiety in this channel, so I encourage you to watch it, okay? If you liked this video, click the like button, share it with your friends. Maybe you have friends who are anxious, and then subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.